This is BizWire TV, where your news is made. Now on Apple TV, iPhone, and Android devices. I'm Erin Ade, and top of the wire this week. Welcome to Communications Week 2016. The theme for this week's Communications Week is reinventing and the reinvention of the communications industry. And I think this is really apropos for our times. And I'll get to that in a moment, but just a little background about myself. My name is Erin Ade. I host BizWire TV, which is a new offering from Business Wire. Now, Business Wire was and is a traditional news wire outlet, basically where you can go to, if you're a brand or some sort of, not just a brand, but launching a new company, funding announcements, regulatory announcements, you go to a Business Wire and then they get your information out to the appropriate media outlets. On the subject of reinvention, what they've done recently with BizWire TV is create a new avenue for which to obtain this information, which they didn't have before. And that's a big deal, because one of the things I see in terms of reinvention is you need to really grow. And a good example of that would be a Netflix. If we all remember Netflix, we used to get DVDs in the mail. No, now you watch Narcos and House of Cards. And I think that shows an incredible amount of resilience from a company to take something that is so different day one and become what they are today. And it kind of can speak to any brand, any person, any company, but a way to reinvent yourself is not easy. I mean, no one likes change. I hate it. Most people do. So it's hard to do that, particularly if your entire world is based around something you know and that worked for a long time. Why change? Well, because you'll die if you don't. And I know that sounds drastic, but it is the reality of the world that we live in. And focusing on that this week is a fun thing, because you don't get to talk about these things in such a flat out way very often. But I think in terms of reinvention, one of the things that's most important to talk about, and we'll hear from a lot of the other brands, is the different avenues that are available to us today. You have so many in terms of mobile, social, good old-fashioned TV, and what is appropriate for you and your brand, and how to get the message across to the appropriate audience. That's a very hard thing to narrow down. But in doing so, you have all of this, basically a platform that never was in existence before that can reach millions of people that couldn't. So finding that, identifying what's appropriate for you and your brand, and then really running with it is going to be interesting to hear about from other panelists and panels as well. And again, kind of to segue to BizWire TV, they are doing this as we speak, in terms of taking what was a traditional business and turning it into something completely new. And it's never an easy thing to do, but just to give you an example, we've been doing this for a year. We have our 1-year anniversary this Thursday, actually. And in that time, we've had 4.5 million views, 1.5 million views via Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Again, using platforms that didn't exist as recently as 10 years ago. And we've also had 20,000 social mentions. And within that, we really focus on entrepreneurs, as well as funding announcements and disruptive tech and startups. And these are all really fun buzzwords, but it's a matter of capitalizing on them in an appropriate way to let the people know who want to know about them what's going on. And everyone's doing it, but to do it with authority, it goes back to the fact that you do have so many different avenues, but the cream always rises. And that's the reality. If you have good content, it's going to be good. And really quickly, a little bit about myself. I come from traditional, if not alternative media. I've been a journalist for over a decade, and prior to BizWire, I was with RT Television, which is a very progressive, alternative, and what some would say propagandistic network. However, one of the things that I learned from working there is that they have incredible reach via social media. If you looked at YouTube, they have over 1 billion hits, which is 500 million more than the next network at 500 million. So, I mean, this is a big deal. But the fact of the matter is, you can reach these people, even if you think it's people wearing tinfoil hats in their mother's basement. They're there, and if you put your media on the appropriate platform, you're going to get them, and they're going to respond to you, whatever you are. So really changing with the times and seeing what's coming up next. I'm going to learn a lot today. I hope everyone else does as well. But enough about me. I'll let the next panelist carry it on from here. Thank you, everyone.